Arras is the capital of the Pas-de-Calais department, which is half of Nord-Pas-de-Calais, France's fourth most populous region. It is located in northern France on the Scarpe River. The Arras Plain lies on a large chalk plateau bordered on the north by the Marcafols Fault, on the southwest by the Artois and Tournois Hills, and on the south by the slopes of Beaufort-Blavincourt. On the east it is connected to the Scarpe Valley. Established during the Iron Age by the Gauls, the town of Arras was first known as Nemitocena, which is believed to have originated from the Celtic word nemiton, meaning sacred space. The first mention of the name Arras appeared in the 12th century. Some hypothesize it is a contraction of Atrebates, a Belgic tribe of Gaul and Britain that used to inhabit the area. The name Atrebates could have successively evolved to become Atrades, Atreides, Eris and finally Arras. Others believe it comes from the Celtic word ar, meaning running water, as the Scarpe River flows through Arras. Arras is Pas-de-Calais' third most populous town after Calais and Boulogne-sur-Mer. The town counted 43,693 residents in 2012, with the Arras metropolitan area having a population of 124,200. Arras is located 182 kilometers north of Paris and can be reached in 2 hours by car and in 50 minutes by TGV. It is the historic center of the former Artois province. Its local speech is characterized as a patois. The city of Arras is well known for its architecture, culture, and history. It was once part of the Spanish Netherlands, a portion of the Low Countries controlled by Spain from 1556 to 1714. Each year Arras attracts thousands of visitors, who explore the city's architecture and historic buildings. Some famous attractions include the splendid town hall and its belfry, the Boves, the squares, the art district, the abbey district, the Vauban citadel, and the Nemothecum site. Unlike many French words, the final S in the name Arras should be pronounced. History. Prehistory archaeologists found evidence of prehistoric human settlements in the Scarpe Basin. The archaeological sites of Mont Saint-Vaast in Arras and Bâche Saint-Vaast were Stone Age settlements of the Mousterian culture. They were evidenced by the finds of stone tools. These tools show signs of the Levallois technique, a name given by archaeologists to a distinctive type of stone knapping, developed by precursors to modern humans during the Paleolithic period 170,000 years ago. Very little was found to document the Bronze Age and early Iron Age in the Arras area. Antiquity. Foundation. Arras was founded on the Botte Bourdaiment by the Belgic tribe of the Atrebates, who named it Nemitocena in reference to a nemiton that probably existed there. It was later renamed Nemothecum, Atrebatum by the Romans, under whom it became an important garrison town. In the Scarpe Valley, archaeologists' excavations and data recovery revealed late Iron Age settlements. These buildings, believed to be farms, were found near the municipalities of Arras, Hamblain-les-Prés, and Saint-Pol. Medieval and early modern period. Before the Middle Ages in the 4th century, Nemet-Kakan was renowned for its arts and crafts as well as textiles trade throughout the whole empire. Between 406 and 407, the city was taken and destroyed by Germanic invaders. In 428, the Salian Franks led by Claudien Le Chevelu took control of the region including the current Somme department. Roman general Aetius then chose to negotiate for peace and concluded a treaty with Claudian that gave the Franks the status of foederati, fighting for Rome. The townspeople were converted to Christianity in the late 4th century by Saint Innocent, who was killed in 410 during a barbarian attack on the town. In 499, after the conversion of Clovis I to Catholicism, a diocese was created in Arras, the Roman Catholic Diocese of Arras, and given to Saint Vaast, who remains the diocesan patron saint. Saint Vaast then established an episcopal see and a monastic community. It was suppressed in 580 to found the Roman Catholic Diocese of Cambrai, from which it would re-emerge 5 centuries later. Early Middle Ages. In 667, Saint Albert, Bishop of Cambrai, decided to found the Abbey of St. Vaast, which developed during the Carolingian period into an immensely wealthy Benedictine abbey. The modern town of Arras initially spread around the abbey as a grain market. During the 9th century, both town and abbey suffered from the attacks of the Vikings, who later settled to the west in Normandy. The abbey revived its strength in the 11th century and played an important role in the development of medieval painting, successfully synthesizing the artistic styles of Carolingian, Ottonian and English art. High Middle Ages. In 1025, a Catholic council was held at Arras against certain Manichaean heretics who rejected the sacraments of the Church. In 1093, the bishopric of Arras was refounded on territory split from the Diocese of Cambrai. In 1097, 2 councils, presided over by Lambert d'Arras, dealt with questions concerning monasteries and persons consecrated to God. In this time, Arras became an important cultural center, especially for the group of poets who came to be known as trouvères. One particular society of such poets was later called the Puy d'Arras. The wool industry and trade. The town was granted a commercial charter by the French crown in 1180 and became an internationally important location for banking and trade. The wool industry of Arras, established in the 4th century, became of great importance during the Middle Ages. Already in the 3rd century, Romans had lauded about the quality of wool from Tournai and Arras. By the 11th century, Arras was the leading city and trading hub of the wool industry. This prominence would eventually shift towards areas north of Arras, and cities such as Lille, Douai and Saint-Omer, followed by Ypres and eventually Bruges, would become the centers of the wool industry and trade. However, by the 14th century, Arras still was renowned and drew considerable wealth from the cloth and wool industry, and was particularly well known for its production of fine tapestries, so much so that in English and Italian the word Arras was adopted to refer to tapestries in general. The patronage of wealthy cloth merchants ensured that the town became an important cultural center, with major figures such as the poet Jean Bodel and the trouvère Adam de la Halle making their homes in Arras. Late Middle Ages. The ownership of the town was repeatedly disputed along with the rest of Artois. During the Middle Ages, possession of Arras passed to a variety of feudal rulers and fiefs, including the County of Flanders, the Duchy of Burgundy, the Spanish branch of the House of Habsburg and the French crown. In 1430, Joan of Arc was imprisoned in the region of Arras. The town was the site of the Congress of Arras in 1435, an unsuccessful attempt to end the 100 Years' War that resulted in the Burgundians breaking their alliance with the English. After the death of Duke Charles the Bold of Burgundy in 1477, King Louis XI of France took control of Arras, but the town's inhabitants, still loyal to the Burgundians, expelled the French. This prompted Louis XI to besiege Arras in person, and after taking it by assault, he had the town's walls razed and its inhabitants expelled, to be replaced by more loyal subjects from other parts of France. In a bid to erase the town's identity completely, Louis renamed it temporarily to Franchise. In 1482, the Peace of Arras was signed in the town to end a war between Louis XI and Maximilian I of Austria. 10 years later, the town was ceded to Maximilian. It was eventually bequeathed to the Spanish Habsburgs as part of the Spanish Netherlands. Renaissance. Arras remained under Habsburg rule from 1493 until 1640, when it was captured by the French. The Spanish ceded it by the peace treaty in 1659, and it has since remained French. The Union of Utrecht was signed here in January 1579 by the Catholic principalities of the Low Countries that remained loyal to King Philip II of Habsburg. It provoked the declaration of the Union of Utrecht later the same month. Modern period French Revolution. Maximilien de Robespierre, a French lawyer and politician from Arras and one of the best-known and most influential figures of the French Revolution, was elected 5th deputy of the Third Estate of Artois to the Estates General in 1789. During the French Revolution, the city of Arras was first presided over by French reformer Dubois de Fosseur, erudite squire, secretary of the Arras district and future president of the Pas-de-Calais department. Around the same time, competing against Aix-sur-l'Allice, Calais and Saint-Omer, Arras won the prefecture of Pas-de-Calais. From September 1793 to July 1794, during the Reign of Terror, the city was under the supervision of Joseph Le Bon, who implemented food restrictions, ordered 400 executions and destroyed several religious monuments including the Arras Cathedral and the Abbey of St. Vaast. Arras' demography and economic activity remained the same throughout the French Revolution while Lille grew exponentially. In 1898, under the influence of Maire Émile Legral, some of Arras' ramparts were demolished to build vast boulevards, establish a new sewage system and replace the old railway station from 1846. World Wars. World War I. During most of the First World War, Arras was about 10 kilometers away from the front line, and a series of battles were fought around the city and nearby at the Vimy Ridge. On 31 August 1914, German light cavalry arrived in Tir-Loy-les-Mouflons, and an army patrol made a foray into Arras. On 6 September 1914, 3,000 soldiers led by General Hans-Jürgen von Arnim barracked within the city and in the Arras citadel. Shortly after, Louis Ernest de Mauduit's soldiers partly repelled the German army troops, and trenches were dug in the faubourgs d'Arras. On 7 October 1914, the Arras City Hall burned. On 21 October 1914, the belfry was destroyed, and so was the Arras Cathedral on 6 July 1915. In 1917, a series of medieval tunnels beneath the city, linked and greatly expanded by the New Zealand Tunnelling Company, became a decisive factor in the British forces holding the city. By the end of World War I, the city was so heavily damaged that three-quarters had to be rebuilt. The reconstruction was extremely costly, yet it proved to be a success and allowed the city to expand. World War II. In the early stages of the Second World War, during the invasion of France in May 1940, the city was the focus of a major British counterattack. Arras was an Allied counterattack against the flank of the German army. The German forces were pushing north toward the Channel coast, in order to entrap the Allied forces that were advancing east into Belgium. The counterattack at Arras was an Allied attempt to cut through the German spearhead and frustrate the German advance. Although the Allies initially made gains, they were repulsed by German forces and forced to withdraw to avoid encirclement. Arras was then occupied by the Germans and 240 suspected French resistance members were executed in the Arras citadel. On 3 September 1944, the city was entered and liberated by the British Guards Armoured Division. Contemporary period recent cooperative agreement. In September 1993, Ipswich and Arras became twin towns, and a square in the new Ipswich Buttermarket development was named Arras Square to mark the relationship. Geography, localization and area. Arras is located in northern France in the Nord-Pas-de-Calais region. Nord-Pas-de-Calais is divided in two departments, Nord and Pas-de-Calais. Arras is in the southeast part of the Pas-de-Calais department and forms the Arras district in the Artois, a former province of northern France. By car, it is 182 kilometers north of Paris, 110 kilometers east of the English Channel, 152 kilometers south of Brussels, and 335 kilometers south of Amsterdam. The city's total area is 1163 hectares, 11.63 square kilometers. The lowest point in the city is at 52 meters above sea level, and the highest is at 99 meters. Geology. The soil of Aras is primarily composed of chalk, a soft white, porous sedimentary rock that formed what is called the European stratigraphic unit. That chalk group deposited during the late Cretaceous period 90 million years ago. It used to be extracted to construct the most prestigious buildings and houses of Aras. As a result, residents once nicknamed the city La Ville Blanche. The Aras area soil is also composed of clay, which was used to produce bricks, build less noble buildings, and embellish facades. Clay is mostly found in the Lyddite of La Terre Potier in the western part of the city. The level of earthquake hazard in the Aras area is low, as is it in the whole Pas-de-Calais department. Hydrography. Two rivers flow through Aras. The Scarpa and the Crincone, both left tributary of the 350-kilometer-long European river called the Scheldt. The Crincone is a rather small river of 19 kilometers flowing through Aras underground, while the Scarpa is 102 kilometers long, of which two-thirds has been turned into canals. The source of the Scarpa is at Berlies-Monchel near Aubigny-en-Artois. It flows through the cities Aras, Douai and Saint-Amand-les-Eaux. The river ends at Mortagne du Nord where it flows into the Scheldt. The river and its valley were important battlegrounds in the First World War. Climate. Aras mainly experiences a Western European oceanic climate affected by the North Atlantic Current due to its proximity of the English Channel. The city's climate is characterized by frequent rains in all seasons, and temperatures throughout the year are mild because of the proximity of the sea. The thermal amplitude is generally low. However, the city can sometimes endure brief cold temperatures as it is at the crossroads between oceanic and continental influences. Therefore, the region's climate can also be referred as semi-oceanic. Summer days are usually moderately warm and agreeable, with average temperatures hovering between 13 and 23 degrees Celsius, and a fair amount of sunshine. Yet the temperature occasionally rises above 30 degrees Celsius. Some years have even witnessed some unusual long periods of harsh summer weather, such as the heat wave of 2003 where temperatures exceeded 30 degrees Celsius for weeks, reaching 38 degrees Celsius on some days and rarely even cooling down at night. Spring and fall have rather warm days and fresh nights, but remain quite unstable. Winter days are cold but generally above freezing with temperatures around 2 degrees Celsius. Sunshine is usually scarce. Light night frosts are common as the temperature often fall below 0 degrees Celsius. Snowfall has been rare in the past decade but happens depending on the year, such as in the winter of 2009-10, which led to atypical cold weather, and caused many parts of Europe to experience heavy snowfall and record low temperatures. The most recent warmest winters recorded were in 1989-90, 1994-95, 2006-7 and 2013-14. The Aras region had remarkably warm and sunny weather in the winter of 2013-14. Rain falls throughout the year. Average annual precipitation is 61.88 mm with light rainfall fairly distributed throughout the year. The highest recorded temperature is 36.6 degrees Celsius, and the lowest is a -19.5 degrees Celsius. On 28 October 2013, Cyclone Christian, one of the strongest extratropical cyclones ever recorded, hit northern Europe including the Aras area. The cyclone's central pressure was 981 MB, and wind speeds reached a maximum of 121 km per hour. The city of Aras did not experience any major damage though. Population and society. Demographics. As of 2012, the population of Aras is 43,693 for a density of 3,756.92 people per square kilometer. The residents go by the name of Arageois and Arageoises. The population is rather young as the highest number of residents is 15 to 29 of age. The most recent male-to-female ratio is 100 to 113, and the female-to-male ratio is 100 to 89. There are 20,198 males for 22,474 females. The Arras metropolitan area has a population of 124,200. Religion: Arras's Basilique Cathédrale Notre-Dame Saint-Vaast is the cathedral, a minor basilica. Episcopal See of the Roman Catholic Diocese of Arras. Education: Arras is part of the Académie de Lille. There are 11 écoles maternelles, 11 écoles primaires, 8 colleges and 7 lycées within the city.